and natural products. Natural production is because of something else. Natural, they cannot find them. Sometimes you go to the market
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. If you can hear me, just simply raise your hands.
Good morning, Ngozi. We can hear you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. And I want to wish everybody a happy Women's Day. Today is the 8th of March, 2022, and it has been set aside to celebrate every woman and girl worldwide. Yes. Okay. Good morning.
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning. Yes, thank you very much for joining in. I'll say big welcome to each and everybody for taking our time to join in this meeting. My name is Ngozi Ukpai Okoro, and I'm the Community Mobilizer Officer for Project Enable Africa, and I'll be your host for today. A brief one. Project Enable Africa is a community development organization that is aimed at empowering persons with disability with digital skills. Basically, we're located in Lagos, Surulere, besides in Nigeria. Now, to the matter of today. Today happens to be International Women's Day 2022, and there are a lot of conversations that are around breaking biases and all. But today, we've tagged this event Equality Today for Sustainable Tomorrow. Equality Today for Sustainable Tomorrow. And we have two lovely speakers in the house today. We have a female and a male. Yes, we have a male speaker. And I don't know who is here. I don't know if Mr. TOBI Salawi is in the house. If you're in the house, just say show raise of hands.
Because he is in the house, his hand is up already.
Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. All right. So today we'll be having our first speaker in person of Mr. TOBI Salawi. Mr. TOBI Salawi is a development practitioner, basically, and is a certified trainer. A brief story about Mr. TOBI Salawi, how I met him was during a training I participated last year, and it was basically about gender-based violence and disability-based violence. And Mr. TOBI killed it, like not literally killed it. He gave his best to it. And I'm looking for an opportunity to bring Mr. TOBI Salawi to the house to speak to us. So today he'll be our first speaker, and he'll be talking about political participation for women towards achieving a sustainable tomorrow. Mr. TOBI, would like to get to know you better, or like to get to meet you. Who is Mr. TOBI Salawi?
Okay, thank you. Let me try and put my video on for those who can see it. Okay. I hope that this works. Yes, for those who will be interested in seeing the face, good morning, everyone. Please just let me know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can, Mr. TOBI.
Fantastic. My name is TOBI Salawi. I am a development practitioner, like Ngozi has said. I work in Jos, Nigeria. I'm married to a beautiful young lady whose name is Ayatola. We're blessed with 2 boys. I've been working in the development space for about 8 years now. And I've found working with community people, working with development practitioners and other community-based organizations, I found it very, very interesting. I found it also very challenging. I found that that's a very viable place where anybody that wants to make transformation should exist. And so I'm excited to be here. I'm hoping that we can have a good time just interacting together on the issues we have before us. And permit me to say Happy International Women's Day 2022 to everyone. And I'm hoping that this session we're having together will be a step in the right direction to ensuring that women and girls, and women and girls with disabilities in particular, can be able to find expression. It will be another effort towards ensuring that there is equity, to be another opportunity towards ensuring that there's gender equality and equity, as it were. And that Nigeria becomes a land of opportunities for both male and female, persons with disabilities and persons without disabilities. And that a person's disability would not be the basis for any major decision in the life of such a one, but that people have opportunities to be able to thrive equally. Beyond that, we're hoping that women will be able to be actively involved in political participation much more than they've ever been. I work for CRUDAN. CRUDAN stands for Christian Rural Urban Development Association of Nigeria. The headquarters is here in Jos, and we have 6 other project offices across the nation. And today, interestingly, in one of our peace building projects here in Jos, in fact, right across the room to where my office is the hall where the training is taking place on women in governance. And so we are starting that training on a special day like this. It's instructive for me, and it shows that good things are coming. So we look forward to a great time of interaction together with you all on the call. And we're hoping that it will be great indeed. Thank you very much, Ngozi, for having me. I want to appreciate Project Enable Africa for this very unique opportunity to share a few thoughts on the prevailing issues. Thank you again.
Okay, Mr. TOBI.
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay, so we want to have. Okay, so in regards to the current, I don't know if you've addressed the question on political participation and how women, most especially women with disabilities, because that's what we're focused with in Project Enable Africa, how women with disability can be actively involved in politics.
Okay, well, you only asked me for you to get to know me, so that's what I focused on.
Okay,
All right, so
okay, yes.
no,
So
it's fine.
now,
It's
okay,
fine. No
yeah.
problem. All right, so let's jump into it. Essentially, we're looking at conversations around gender equality, okay? Today for a sustainable tomorrow. That's the theme of this year's International Women's Day celebration. And particularly for this session, we're considering the issues around political participation of women towards a sustainable tomorrow. And you'll be wondering that a man is taking the session on women. That's the best approach. In my little years of gender work, I've discovered that men, especially in contexts where women are the disadvantaged in terms of vulnerabilities, I've found that men taking such sessions is more valuable. Okay, so men tend to listen more to men than to listen to a woman who is talking to the man about gender equality. You get the point? And so I think that it's still in order to share a few thoughts on this. And so I want to basically look at the issue of the role of women in the political history of Nigeria, and also look at this issue of equality and equity and what really are we talking about. And then I want to talk about the need. There's the need, and I would like to conclude with talking about the need, and we can probably entertain questions if there are. It's important to start by stating the fact that historically, Nigerian women have been a part of the political history of Nigeria. Okay, Nigerian women have played very strategic roles, which include social roles, economic roles, political roles, and all that. So against what, contrary to literature, portrays, especially in our day and time, as though women have always been docile, women have always been powerless, women have never really been at that point of, decision making, whether it's at family levels or at community levels or even state and national levels. I think that narrative is not totally correct. All right, women have been have had a say, as it were, to a significant level in the political history of Nigeria. So, like we all know, the basic social studies were taught that the family is the smallest unit of society, and that's where civilization starts from, orientation starts from, and all that. And that's so true, because even in those years, in those days, we saw that women at the family level were strong. Women were decision makers at that level. Women were responsible for taking care of children, so they exerted a lot of influence over children that later grew up, and also were able to significantly acknowledge their roles as women, as mothers, and all that. Now, even beyond the household level, power was generally dominated by men, yes, but in many areas, we see that specific titles were given to women. All right, so we get like the Queen Mother titles, like that's like a powerful title among the Edo and Yoruba women. For instance, the Queen Mother, it could be bestowed on either the King's Mother or a free woman, considering her status or statue that she has risen to. So in that woman's own palace, for instance, decisions could be taken. The woman could am I missing something? Can we all please mute our mics so that it minimizes the interruptions? Thank you. So you find that such women, for instance, in their own palaces as Queen Mother or whatever, they were able to preside over meetings. They're able to, even bestow smaller titles on other women, as it were. Okay, so we see also situations where, for instance, Yoruba and Hausa legends describe periods when women were either the actual kings or the heroines. Okay, we all know about the Moremi of Ile-Ife, the Amina of Zaria, and other notable legendary, figures who were powerful people in their time. There were men in those dispensations as well, but these women proved that they had stuff that was a bit uncommon given their context. Okay, so I'm saying that looking at the antecedents, looking at the political history of Nigeria, women have not really been docile. But we see that as time went on, you know, the economy also turned around. I give you an instance. The economy turned around when it began to focus on major exports like cocoa, like rubber, and those things brought men more into the limelight. Those things brought the colonial imperialists and corporations and businesses more into the limelight. And there was this kind of a collaboration between British colonialists and the men folk in Nigeria to oppress women, as it were. And so we began to see a downturn in the significance and impact of women, as it were, in the political history and landscape. It's also worthy of note the fact that women played a key role in the political independence of Nigeria. Okay, so we see women who were also part of the advocacy and lobbying visits to Britain to ensure that these issues around the political independence of Nigeria was attained. And this was possible. Okay, so right now, we can say that the most powerful and viable agency, right, for change for women in our modern times, or ladies in our modern time, and permit me to also say that persons with disabilities in our modern time, is the formal education system, because we've seen that a large number of elite women have emerged over the years. These are intelligent people, educated people, well-articulated people, well-articulate people, confident people. I mean, they've been found in leading occupations. We have the likes of Gojo Iweala, who is currently the DG of the World Trade Organization. We have the likes of Ibuku Awoshika, who was chairman at First Bank, and she has her own furniture company. And we have women who are leading in several industries and sectors. We also have women who are leading in the political scene, the political space, they contest elections, they mobilize other women and all. So we've seen a lot of political activities play out in the history of Nigeria. I'm saying that to let us know that women have not particularly just been docile. They've not also always just waiting for opportunities to come for them to take up political participation, but they've always gone for it. But we're at a point where men still dominate and women are still laboring, even after 50 years, to still occupy strategic positions in governance. That is a matter of concern. The fact that we still have levels of gender, as sexual and gender-based violence go up, you know, violence against women and girls, violence against persons with disabilities, violence against women and girls with disabilities. That is indicative of the fact that the Nigerian state itself is sick. So we need to talk about it. We need to shout about it. We need to have concerted efforts to address the fact that women's political participation needs to heighten. It needs to improve. It needs to increase. Now, I would like to share a few statistics with you that prove gender gap, you know, in Nigeria. So in the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report, for instance, some of these statistics, you can find them online. Some of them are from Wikipedia and all that. In the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report for 2018, Nigeria ranked 139th out of a total of 149 countries. Did you get that? 139th out of a total of what? 149 countries. That means there are just about 9 or 10 countries below us in terms of gender gap in political empowerment. And we see this play out because during the 2015 Nigerian elections, for instance, Nigeria had 20 women out of 359 in its lower house, that's House of Reps, and only 7 out of 109 in the upper house, that is the Senate, which amounts to 6.4% only. In Nigeria's 2019 elections, 7.3% of the Nigerian state and 3.1% of the of the Nigerian Senate and 3.1% of the House of Representatives are women. Only 7.3 and 3.1 respectively. It is interesting to know that there are no state governors that are women. So we only have at best a female deputy governor. And I'm not aware of any deputy governor, female deputy governor who is a person with disability. I'm also not aware, we don't see persons with disabilities emerge as commissioners. We don't see them emerge as permanent secretaries. Don't see them emerge as appointees of governments across the federation, we only see pocket cases of persons with disabilities who are appointed maybe on the basis of something that has to do with disability, maybe to head the disability commission, maybe to be a special advisor, special assistant on disability matters. So we are saying that women and girls, persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable persons and groups need to be actively involved in political participation. Because it's the International Women's Day, we are focusing a little bit now on women and women with disabilities in particular. So there are no laws implemented to improve the gender gap. In 2014, the Women Advocacy Research and Documentation Center at the Nigerian Women Trust Fund outlined the Nigerian Women Charter of Demand that demanded what? To have 35% of women incorporated in all sectors of government. So we see that even laws that should enable women, even laws that should be able to create a level playing ground, laws that should be able to create opportunities for women are being thrown out. And I'll come to that in a bit. I would like to just share the screen with us briefly to further reinforce this conversation that we're having around, sorry, just a minute, around equality and equity. I hope that you can see my screen now. Just indicate if you can see my screen, or if you can say yes, please go ahead and just say yes. Thank you so much. I'm sure that we've seen this picture before. I'm sure we've seen it before. And it's quite self-explanatory. But for those of us that cannot see, I'm going to describe it. Okay, so there's a baseball game going on in a field, in a stadium, and there's a little picket fence over which 3 people are trying to watch the game. Now, we see on the first image that there is a man. Well, it looks like a family. A man is a son and a younger son, you know, but there's a man who is standing on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if you like, stools, 7 sets of stools. And he is a man, he's tall already, and he's standing on 7 stools, and he's looking well ahead of the picket fence, and he's seeing the baseball game. The second boy next to that man is standing on just 1 stool. His face barely looks ahead of the picket fence. And then there's a little boy who is not even tall enough to get to a quarter of the picket fence. So he has no idea what's going on. All he probably hears is the sound and the noise around for the game. It is that part of the image we're looking at is labeled what? Reality. So we can equally say that this is our reality. That our reality is that we see men having unequal and unparalleled access to resources, to participation, and all the benefits that come with it. And women and other vulnerable groups are barely able to see the game. They are barely able to participate. They are barely able to get involved in what is going on. So let me move to the next frame in this set of pictures, and I'll describe it again. The next one talks about equality. Now, what has happened now is that there's been a move, okay? If you like, call it improvement, where we now say, okay, we're going to give all of us equal number of stools to stand on. Now, this is regardless of the height of the 3 persons. So when you say equality, we're saying, okay, well, everybody will bring 5 representatives, for instance. Men will bring 5, women will bring 5, youth will bring 5. That's what we call equality. But the access to resources, the privileges that the context of the society gives is still not the same. And so you see that the man is still tall. He has always been tall, and he remains tall. So he is still taller than the other people, even though they have equal number of platforms to stand on. That's equality. So, for instance, bringing it home, in the Nigerian state and context, we can say that men and women We're even saying that men and women should have equal platforms to stand on. But the danger of equality is this, that there will still be certain excluded groups or vulnerable groups who are not still able to participate because they don't have what it takes on that platform to participate in the game, to participate in the endeavor, to participate in the venture. And so equality still doesn't work because everybody still is not at the same level. The next picture shows us that the man now is standing without a platform, but he can still see the game and participate. In fact, to show his participation, you can see his left hand is even lifted high. So he's actively participating. He has no issues. The next guy to him has a platform. So they are now at the same level. The third one, who is the smallest one to him, now has two platforms. They are now at the same level. That's equity. Equity is saying that it doesn't matter the number of platforms you have, we should be at the same level. So because we can all have equal platforms and not still be at the same level in terms of participation, in terms of access to resources, in terms of accessibility, in terms of function. And the last part of this image that I would like to share with us is called liberation. Liberation. At the point of liberation, there is no barrier anymore to participation. The picket fence is totally removed, and now that the picket fence is removed, there is no basis for looking for platforms to be raised to watch the game. Liberation is that we all have access to watch this game. We all have access to participate without barriers, without restrictions. Ladies and gentlemen, on this call, I'd like to say to us that every time that women, persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable people groups are being excluded in terms of participation, there is no equity, there is no liberation. Even at best, the equality we should have is absent. And every part of the human body, let me use the human body as an instance, every part of the human body the word is any part of the human body that is suffering, any part of the human body that does not enjoy free flow of blood and water will ache. So every part of the Nigerian state that is not having access, to resources and all of that participation will always ache. And they will always shout that they are being oppressed. And that's the case that we currently see. Having seen the issues around the equality and equity and reality, and of course the consequent liberation, I'd like to proceed by saying that equality and equity is a drive for equal opportunities for all, regardless of gender, regardless of disability status. Okay, so against what we currently see, where bills are thrown out of the house at will, it is not a drive for superiority or conquest. It's a drive for equity. And I want to say that oftentimes, even women, a lot of women activists, they approach the gender work from a dimension of pain, a dimension of superiority and conquest. We want to also subdue men. That's not the approach. When you bring that approach, it never works. So, but the approach is that men should not be superior over women. Women should not be found as victims of war. They should never be seen as items that men procure during battles and war. They are not plunder. We are saying that there should be equal opportunities for the man and the woman, a person with disabilities and a person without disability, to be able to play fairly and have access to also resources. And so a woman should live peaceably without being violated, as well as a man. A woman should not be scared of, if I stay in that place, will I be raped? If I stay in that place, will I be permitted? If I stay in that place, will I be shouted on? That is not a peaceable society. That context doesn't allow women to blossom and thrive. And what we see currently in our Nigerian state is that women are fast becoming an endangered species. Now, the total population of Nigeria is estimated at about 207 million or more. And of these 207 million or more, men are about 104 million and women are about 101 million. Now, this statistics is instructive, so that women don't think that the margin between the populations of men and women is so large that they are incapable, that they are incapacitated, or that they do not have what it takes. I beg to disagree. Women have what it takes. So women can take the lead if they so desire, by believing in themselves and effectively mobilizing one another. That's what I wrote. I'll take it again. Women can take the lead if they so desire, by believing in themselves and effectively mobilizing one another. Let me also say that persons with disability, women and girls with disabilities, can take the lead if they so desire, by believing first in themselves and effectively mobilizing one another. The barriers to women participation in politics, they are largely due to attitudes to gender, like I mentioned earlier, and negative attitude towards women in leadership also. The Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill, thrown out again and again from the House of the National Assembly, is proof that men do not understand the concept of gender, and that men are not willing to allow equal opportunities for every Nigerian citizen, whether men or women, to play fairly. I think that is also proof that men are insecure. It shows that men are not sure really what they stand to lose or gain if such bills are allowed to fly. And so this program is also a call to all of us that in our little ways we can do advocacy. You can take to social media, you can write letters, you can do whatever you can to ensure that such bills that ensure for equal opportunities are passed. So in particular, we see that female candidates often suffer from election violence, threats, or hate speech, as it were. Political parties even exclude women and encourage only little participation. In fact, what blows my mind sometimes is the fact that you see that the best position a woman can get is women leader. So they say to the woman, go and mobilize other women for us. And the woman is excited because she's even considered in the first place. No. We are saying that a woman should be able to contest for the main position as well as a man. That a woman is good for, beyond women leader. And this is important, that we need to have this kind of conversations. So the state of Nigerian women currently, as shown by our lawmakers, is proof or to the condition of our nation. And I'd like to quote Nehru, the first Indian Prime Minister. He was the one that says that you can tell the condition of a nation by looking at the status of its women, or you can tell the status of a nation by looking at the condition of its women. I think that we can really tell the condition and state of Nigeria by looking at the status of our women. And when we look at our women, we see people who are underrepresented. When we look at our women, we see people who are oppressed. When we look at our women, we see people who are violated, people who barely have access to justice. When we look at our women with disabilities, we see people who suffer 3 times more what men suffer, what other women without disabilities suffer. We see women with disabilities, we see people who do not even have access. We are even talking about basic access in terms of physical access to certain places they really wish to go, not to talk of access to resources, to be able to contest elections, to be able to mobilize other people. We see that Nigerian women are in a situation that is not nice at all. And it's proof that Nigeria is not really doing so well. Probably no wonder, Nigeria is highly indebted to nations like China, because when you oppress the most productive part of your country or your nation, which are women, then you cannot advance, you can't go so far. So I'd like to conclude by saying that having said all of this, having looked at the political history of Nigeria, having seen that women have really never been docile, women have never just really been standers by, women have been active. And the fact that women will not wait until they are given on a platter of gold, they go for it. Having seen very, 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 very terrible statistics about the state of women across the House of Rep in the nation and other states, we are seeing that there is a need. And I would like to categorize the need in 4 areas, and I'll wrap this up. The first is that there's the need for emergence of women and persons with disabilities, or women and girls with disabilities in the political space. First, as contestants, women need to understand that if you don't contest for a thing, it doesn't get to you. So the first step is to have more people contest. And we're not just looking for any woman to contest. You see, that's the challenge. When you say we're not too young to run, for instance, we're not just saying any young person, we're saying a young person that qualifies to run. So women who qualify to run, women who have developed themselves over time, women that have what it takes to stand out, women with disabilities that have what it takes to stand out. So first is women as contestants. Second is women as electorates. It's crucially important. There is no way that we will not have more women who are voting and they will not vote for women. If they believe in that woman, they will vote for her. I remember that there was an election, I think it was the last 3 general elections or so, that a woman contested, one of the women that contested as president for the president of Nigeria. I think she only voted for herself or something, or maybe some other sympathizers voted for her. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people, women coming en masse to vote for the woman they believe in. Imagine that the large percentage, millions of women line up behind a particular candidate and they vote for her. There is no way that a man will win that election, but it starts with women believing in themselves. Thirdly, women as mobilizers, women with disabilities, women without disabilities, men with disabilities, men without disabilities. We must ensure that we mobilize for women. We must ensure that we route for women, that women have what it takes to deliver. Women has what it takes to liberate. So we need to mobilize for women. And the last need is women need to mentor younger girls who will ultimately become women. Whether as parents, you need to do it. As teachers, you need to do it. As professionals, you need to do it. You need to be able to find a group of young girls that you're pouring yourself into as a woman, that you are putting these things into their minds and you are encouraging them to see themselves as equally prospective in terms of political participation. I'd like to thank you all for your time, and I'd like to take questions if they are around. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Toby. That was a very good one. And so 2 things I took out from this session was, one, you really tried to explain the equality and equity for us. And I got to understand that equality is having platforms for everybody, both man and woman, both the male and the female. But you explained that equity has to do with giving same level playing ground. So even if I'm short or tall, I should have a level playing ground for me to even succeed, or for a woman to succeed, and that's a good one. Also, you tried to answer the part of sustainability for tomorrow. So the topic was actually equality today and sustainability for tomorrow. And you identify 4 main things that I really will take home and also step down to others. The very first one is women to be contestants, like women, both women with disabilities should be contestants. Secondly is the electorate. They have to also participate in politics. Most women will feel, what's my business in government? What's my business in politics and all? And third one is for them to mobilize us. So not because it's a woman, I'm angry at my fellow woman, I don't want to vote for her. So let us also be mobilizers. And the last one is to be mentors for younger girls and women.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Toby. I don't know if the house has any questions. If you have any question, kindly just drop your questions in the chat box. If there's time, we could still respond to it. But we need to move on to the second speaker. Because it's Women's Day, we had to create opportunity for the men to speak. So the normal talk is ladies first, but today being Women's Day, we have to say no, men first. And that's why I had Mr. TOBI Salawai speak to us first. Thank you, Mr. TOBI.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes. All right, let's move fast to our second speaker, TOMISIN AdeyefA. Olatomisin, like I know her to be, she's a person with disability, and she's really striving so hard in what she does as a gender-based violence. She's also a media person, and I really do well by allowing people to blow their own trumpet. So, Madam Tomisin, Please, over to you. Let's get to meet you, ma.
All right, thank you very much. Good day to everyone. My name is TOMISIN Adeyefah. I'm a media person, like she said, a broadcast journalist, a sound engineer, an advertiser, a copywriter. What else do I do in the media world? Okay, I'm also a disability and gender rights advocate. And I am super excited to be sharing the same platform with a mentor, a teacher, and a leader.
Yeah.
Trust me, Mr. TOBI Salawai has, done justice to the topic. In fact, while I was listening to him, I was like, what else remain make I talk now? Sure, you finish talking everything.
So it's intentional, Tomisi. So it's intentional. Yes, thank you very much. So the topic we have for you today is gender equality today. So basically, we'll be in gender. In your own words, because it's your field, what do you refer to as gender equality, and how can you explain gender equality today? Before we move on to the next question, has to do with for a sustainable tomorrow. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, so gender equality. When it comes to man and woman, we all are aware that the usual word is sex. Because you say for a male possesses every characteristic, every physiological features of a man or a male species. The broadness in voice, the broadness of the chest, the genitals, and all of those things help to differentiate us, from male to female. So that is sex. Now, when it comes to gender, it means societal roles and responsibilities. So sorry about my background. Let me apologize for that. It's International Women's Day, and seriously, I have a lot of places to be at the same time. So I'm currently at a location, and that's why I have that noisy background. But I mean, we should be able to get on with this. I apologize about it once again. So
No trouble. No trouble.
I was talking about roles and responsibilities that have been assigned to say, okay, these are the roles and responsibilities of you as a male. This is what you should do. This is what you're obliged. These are your duties. These are your roles as a woman, as a female. And usually it is not nature that has assigned these roles to us. It is the society. It is the society that would say, oh, a male child should not be found in the kitchen. It's only females that should be found there. It is the society that would say men don't cry, but women, we are sympathizers. We enjoy pity party a lot, very emotional being. And it is a society that would say, oh, a man should walk until he is faint to bring food to the table, while a woman should, cross her leg, rear babies, cook, and maintain the house. But as we have it now, things are changing. The world is evolving. People are beginning to recognize the fact that it's not just a man's world anymore. It's both a woman's world. And whatever it is a man has the capacity to do, when given equal access, when given equal opportunities, when given that leverage, that wherewithal to do exploits, women would also do well and exceedingly so. So gender equality is now the topic of the day on many lips. People talking about it, that okay, if I have a male child and I have a female child, why don't I send the both of them to school and help them grow to do well, regardless of their sex, regardless of if this child is a female or a male. So people are beginning to say that opportunities, you shouldn't be deprived of a job or a space or an opportunity because of your sex, because you are being looked at as a weaker vessel, or you are being looked down at as someone who shouldn't be found in such position at a particular time. Now, when you now throw this gender equality thing, when you throw the gospel into the midst of those of us who are persons with disabilities, trust me, it is worse. Because in the larger community, that's in the mainstream community, you find a lot of struggles right there. But when it comes to our own community, the struggle is raised to power too, and it is real. For every woman with disability, that is going through any form of inequality, for every woman without disability going through a form of gender inequality, 10 other women with disabilities are going through that same thing. That is according to the statistics from United Nations. So it means that if a woman who is without a disability, goes through any form of discrimination because of her sex, because of the gender roles and obligations that have been placed upon her shoulders, 10 women with disabilities are going through that thing 3 times more on the basis of their sex as women and their disability. So it means that as persons with disabilities, when we go through gender-based violence, as it were, we suffer for it triple times, not even double times. We suffer for it triple times. And that is why we cannot afford to exempt ourselves from the conversation of gender equality. And I would like to borrow from Mr. TOBI SALAWI to say that not just equality, but also equity, justice, and fairness. He has given us the description of when you have the same platforms for different people. You understand how it is. Some of us as persons with disabilities, we never had parents who were wealthy. Some of us had parents who were just okay. Some of us had parents who were not even between wealthy and okay. They were down the line. And then we had to struggle to get an education or to learn a trade or to learn a skill. We just had to struggle to do those things because we did not have the same level playing ground. And then the struggle continues in the larger society. When you get married, if you want to get married as a woman who is with a disability, a lot of questions are thrown at you. You have to continually prove yourself capable of doing those things that others would do conveniently. Even when, your in-laws supposedly believe that, oh, okay, she can do it, they still come up with those skepticism, and it shows. You hear questions like, when you marry her, how will she take care of you? When you marry her, how will she bear children? When you marry her, how will she? And so as a woman with a disability, you continue to prove yourself that I can. And then it's tiring. Trust me, it could be very, very frustrating. So we cannot afford to ignore that conversation or play deaf ears to it when we hear the conversation of gender equality and equity, and then pretend like it doesn't affect us because we are persons with disabilities or because we are persons without disabilities. What is wrong with the disability community is none of my business. We can't afford to play that kind of lackadaisical attitude to such a conversation. And I must say that the Project Enable Africa has done well by putting this together today of all this to show solidarity for that thing that says equality today for a sustainable future. So Ngozi, I hope I've been able to explain my own definition of gender equality.
Yes, thank you so very much, Tomisi. And I can actually relate. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, and I can relate so well to all you said because fortunately, I'm also a person with disability. And the main issue of even women getting married, because it's one major topic that we can't even finish even the next week, is about women getting married. And couple of times or over the years, I've seen men with disabilities getting married, and it gets married to women without disabilities. But in quotes, it could be very difficult for a woman with a disability to get married because she has to really, really please her in-law. So I really, really understand that. And also the part of the gender equality and equity, like you brought from Mr. Tobi's, was to explain yours. After we've addressed this or we've identified the problems, identified the real issues, what, in your own words, what do you think, or how do you think we can, or do you think that, okay, it's been established that there's equality issues, even right from when we're young, even from our parents in the society and all. How do you think this can be eradicated for a sustainable tomorrow?
Okay, for a sustainable tomorrow, thank you very much for that one. Of course, gender inequality can be eradicated. Trust me, we can all do it if we agree to say, oh, this is a menace, this is a problem, and then we need a solution. At some point, we recognized that, oh, we needed something to push our cars around. We needed something to be able to move efficiently and very fast around. And then a car came up, and then we had diesel, we had petrol. And right now, people are talking about cars using electricity. So you can imagine when the whole world recognizes the fact that there's a problem, the solution is not going to be perfect. And then we can all work together to see that a solution is in place. So the same thing goes to gender inequality. It means that when we all agree that, okay, there is a problem, there is a dichotomy, there is a gap, there is a big difference that needs to be filled up. It means that you will be working to fill it up. I'll be working to fill it up. Mr. Toby will be working to fill it up. Our participants in the house as well will be working to fill it up. And before you know it, the big hole has been filled. And then we have, you know, a standard, we have a basis to move on from. So I would say that it's going to start from bottom to top. I'm not going to be picking this from top to bottom because we are quick to point accusing fingers at people when the real creator of issues is within us. We are quick to say, oh, it is the government. Oh, it is the society. Oh, it is the non-governmental organization. Oh, it is the politician. Oh, it is, forgetting that you and I also play huge roles in, you know, creating these problems, fueling it, and, you know, if we choose to solve it as well. So I'll be starting my own solution campaign from the bottom to the top. First, the family. You and I have a role to play when we start having kids, when we start raising children, when we start adopting kids, to make sure that those kids do not see themselves as male and female, but they see themselves as children and adults. We have a role to ensure that they do not see themselves as superior to one another, even as kids, but as partners in progress, working together. And you know, one thing about kids, they are quick to believe what an adult, especially their parents or their guardian, says. They are very quick to accept it. Yeah, they may ask questions why, they want to know, they are curious. But once you're able to allay their fears, you find out that kids are very good elements to use in testing ideas, in testing knowledge, in testing obedience, and all of that. So we must begin to raise kids that would see themselves as partners in the society, not as you are the male, I am the man, you are the woman kind of living. Moving on from the family, we will now talk about ourselves, you know, our place of work. You know, how are we faring as employers of labor? How are we faring as, you know, people who employ, people who empower? Are we giving the preferential treatment to some kind of sex because you feel that when you do this to this particular sex or gender, you are able to get this in return? Or you feel that when you give an, you know, a lot of thought like that. So we must also begin to do the right thing to say, oh, okay, if I have a company or I have a small business, I would employ a woman that is competent, not because of her sex or gender, but because she is competent to be in that position. If I have male and female write an application to me, I would not be looking for the male while discarding all the females because I feel that, oh, females are emotional beings. I need somebody that is sensible on this job. Forgetting that if given equitable opportunity, a woman can be more rational than even an average man you put there. I'll give you an example. People say, oh, women can multitask. And it's true. A woman can sweep, wash clothes, wash plates all in 30 minutes. A man, ask a man to babysit a baby for 30 minutes while you go fetch something and come. He will use phone and call you back. Come and carry your baby, oh, because, you know, some of those things is not just endemic in them. They will pick a task at once and do it, you know. But a woman, as she's thinking of the task, she's thinking of home, she's thinking of work, she's thinking of family, she's thinking of so many things at the same time. So it means that when you put these women in places of position, when you put these women in places where they can give leadership, where they can give direction, it means that they would, produce results. They would produce results. And I would also want to talk about women supporting women. They say nothing for us without us. But how many times have you, as a woman, either with a disability or without a disability, ever seen a good in a fellow woman? Let's not deceive ourselves. That thing has a way of affecting us in the larger society. Because you, as a woman, we are always competing. We want to compete with our fellow women. We want to look good more than they are looking. We want to be fairer. I want to look fairer than Ngozi. Ngozi wants to look bigger than I look. She wants to, women are always competing against each other. We never give breathing space to our fellow woman. We do not want to hear us. We're like, you're a woman. I'm also a woman. So if I can do it, if I can survive in a toxic relationship, who are you to say you want to leave a toxic relationship? So we are always against. That's against syndrome. Pull her down syndrome is always, something we need to also look at as women. Women should begin to have each other's backs. Women should begin to see the good in a fellow woman. If you see a woman in a position of authority, trust me, don't start that rumor of, nah, share what she be, and that thing where she do, where she be. Not be this life where we did together. How come she is there and I am not there? That's not what should come to your mind first. Because when a man is at the top of his game, nobody says he sells his body to get to that position. So why should every woman at the position of authority or at that position of fame should sell their bodies to be there? So when we engage in this conversation, we should learn to do it constructively and objectively as women, because that position you are pulling her down from, you're about to talk something. They say, person where they pull somebody down from upstairs, himself, no, they climb. If you are fond of pulling people down, if you are fond of seeing all the bads, the ills and against of a person, you wouldn't also see the good in yourself. It's as simple as that. So women should also begin to support themselves. And as women support themselves, we cannot do it alone. We cannot support ourselves alone. So we would also be needing the help of men who believe in the cause. Men who believe that being a female does not make you less than a human. Men who believe that being a woman does not make you irrational. Who believe that because you are a woman, you are not ill competent. You are not, you don't have, men will believe that because you are a woman does not mean you are not competent to actually carry a task, to come together and join hands to help this cause. Because we cannot also run away from the fact that it has always been a patriarchal society. And there is this believability in what comes out from the voice or through the voice of a man. Imagine Mr. TOBI SALAWI talking about gender equality the other time, and he was making reference to what happened at the House of Representatives. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, if we have maybe a 70 or 80 kind of Mr. TOBI SALAWI at that House of Representatives, would that story still have, remain what it is today? Of course not, because these persons believe in the competence of the other gender. They believe that even given equitable access, when given opportunity, when given that leverage, that level playing ground, these persons would also do well and do exceedingly so. So we need men who also believe in this cause. And, to wrap it all up, I'll be charging us today as advocates, because trust me, every person with disability is an advocate. Every person without disability is an advocate. So as we go forth in that journey of life, as we go on from here, from the International Women's Day today, the 8th of March, 2022, I would be charging us to spread the gospel. Not just talk it, walk it, like I said. When you actually tell people that you believe in a cause, act it, do it. Don't just listen to what I say. Do what I say, but don't do what I do. That's not the kind of gospel we want to preach. We want to We want people to do what we say and also do what we do. So while you are out there, don't just say, oh, give women a chance, give women an opportunity. Oh, also, in your own little way, make it a watchword to be equal, to be equitable in your gender participation, in your gender endeavors, in your gender associates. So whatever you do that involves male and female, don't just preach it, act it. Don't just talk about it, walk it, because sometimes people learn faster and differently from what we do than what we say. The world has now become a place where videos is the order of the day, pictures is the order of the day. When you tell people, oh, I saw this, they don't believe until you provide video or pictorial evidence. So it means that when you are just talking it, some persons will still not believe it. But when you begin to act it in your own little corner, trust me, a drop would soon make an ocean. And maybe come 2023, we would not just be talking about gender equality again for a sustainable future. We would have moved on to some other pressing issues that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tomisin. Thank you so very much for this. It becomes new and fresh every time. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much for your time and also sharing from your well of knowledge. And so the charge I have for everyone, like what Tomis had mentioned, is family. I also dwell more on family because they're like the first agent of the society. It starts with the family. Every child is born into a family, first of all. And it's even as little as identifying a blue ball or a blue colored shirt to a guy, because the society has already associated blue to a male and associated pink to a girl. So when you see a guy wearing a red shirt, you want to tag him something else. So I think even for families, it's always good to let there be that freedom, liberty for each sex or child you have. And also with the women supporting women, it's a lot because you know how women can be. And so I just hope from this charge you've given, more women will support each other. I will support you, Tomisi, and you also support me. Yes? She's off. Okay.
If she's not here, me, I will support you. Don't worry. But I hope you will support me too.
Yes, I'll support you, Mr. Toby. Thank you very much. For now, we do not have questions on the chat box, but this is not even a conversation that we can just
Because
end like.
you know my support for you is always right.
Yeah. So I'm getting support from a woman and also a man. Thank you so very much, Mr. Toby. And it has been a great one having both of you on this call. And I know how busy, I practically dragged Mr. Toby and Tomisi here today. And so this conversation is going to continue on our social media handles at project_enable on all our social platforms. So you can always check that to follow the conversation. On this note, I want to say a very big thank you for your time. Thank you so very much for. We have the executive director on this call. I don't know if he wants to say something. Person of Mr. Lushola Awonikoko.
Hi, Ngozi. Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's been a very, very great conversation today. I've enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you so much to our guest, Mr. Toby and sorry, I think the name is Tomisin, right? Yes. Thank you so much both of you for your valuable contribution, for helping us realize, especially the difference between equity and equality, and the very much need for it. Thank you so much for making yourself available and to your commitment to gender empowerment. So we are so grateful that you joined us today.
Yes. Thank you very much. On this note, I want to say a very big thank you and enjoy the rest of today.
Sorry, there's a chat. Sorry, there's a chat in the chat box.
Okay, please. What's the question? Read it.
I think there is
Can I read it?
not enough conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there is not enough conversation had about the way language play a role in the topic.
Oh. Um, okay, I don't know if you want to go, Mr. Toby, to answer that question. It's talking about language, the role language play.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure it's really a question per se. I would have
Yes.
asked Zehatu, if you don't mind to if you don't mind to just say a few words about this chat. Just to say that Zehatu is a colleague who has joined this call on my invitation, and I'm glad that she's been here. Zehatu is from Germany, and she is the Dialogue and Partnership Service coordinator of Bread for the World here in Nigeria, in Abuja. So I'd just like her to say a few words on the conversation, and then we can probably wrap up after that. Thank you.
Okay, you have the floor, Ma.
Thank you very much, Toby. Thank you. Well, what I mean when I say that is that within this conversation, I've heard sentences such as women are emotional beings, and, you know, speaking of gender equality, I think that as such, the idea of women being emotional beings, I find that a bit complicated, right? Because the association with emotional, meaning that there's a lack of control, or there's a lack of self-control, or there is, I think we associate it with women being weaker because of that, right? So women maybe being a little more, a woman is more likely to maybe cry over a certain issue, or to not respond rationally in a certain situation. But I think that if we look at men and the way men, for example, react in, I think stereotypically, men are seen as the ones that maybe are more aggressive, or are more likely to, I don't know, be violent. I'm just speaking in stereotypes. And I think that those are both very emotional reactions. And I think that by pinning the woman as the emotional being, and emotional beings being associated with weakness, I think it makes a big difference in the conversation, how we use these kind of words. And is it my echo, or is somebody speaking? Hello?
You have the floor, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I think it makes a big difference, even when we speak of gender equality. I think that with the example that was given by Toby earlier about the differences between equality and equity and liberation, I think equity is a really important word in this conversation to be had about gender, and especially in the intersections, right, of gender. So you can have women that are, so you're female, and at the same time, disability comes into play, or race comes into play. So I think that especially looking at the intersections, it's very important to consider language as well. And another thing that I wanted to say about women and how women behave towards their fellow women, I think in small ways, and it's something that I really like to encourage women to do. And that's just a little side notes before I finish. I think there are small ways in which women can encourage each other on a daily basis. I personally go out of my way to, when I see a woman that is doing something, I go out of my way to approach her and compliment her on whatever it is. It can be physical, but it can also be something that she's currently doing that I admire. And I think that as women, I think it's a good habit to cultivate. And I think it's a way that everybody can start doing something, you know, by using the small ways of encouraging each other. I think that's all I wanted to say, I believe. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Zehatu.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for, yes, like she was saying, it's a stereotype talking about, those are misconceptions that women are emotional beings, and forgetting that men are also emotional. So women could be aggressive as well. Also forgetting that men is being tagged that they're aggressive. They're just the societal construct to how some certain sex behave and act. And also, thank you for your conversation. Thank you for your contribution on that. All right. If there's no other questions and comments, I want to say a very big thank you, and we'd like to end this call so that Mr. Toby can go on and enjoy his Women's Day, and also Madam Tomisin.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you everyone for joining the call. We appreciate each and every one of you. Looking forward to other opportunities for interactions like this, and hoping that we can have much more people join in. And we probably stream to a YouTube page so that people can always access the recording, which can be of benefit to people even beyond the call. Thank you, Ngozi, for reaching out. I truly appreciate this. Thank you so much, Project Enable Africa. My warm regards to the team. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ngozi. Thank you, Zaitu. Thank you, Mr. Toby. Thank you, participants. Thank you to the team of Project Enable Africa. God bless you all. And from here, I wish us all a happy celebration. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.